Every pattern you repeat or every choice you can't explain and every version of yourself you keep returning to has a blueprint. Welcome to the Echo Principle, where we map the unseen architecture of human behavior. If you think carefully, you belong here, so drop a like and make sure to subscribe to our channel. We like to think our minds are fortresses. We believe that if someone tried to rewrite our history or tell us that the sky is green, we'd laugh and walk away. But manipulation isn't a frontal assault, it's a slow, quiet leak. It's a psychological surgery performed without anesthesia. Today, we're looking at gaslighting, not as a trending topic, but as a clinical mechanism of control. We're going to map the stages of isolation and look at a landmark legal case that changed how the world views emotional murder. By the end of this, you'll understand that the most dangerous prison isn't made of bars, it's made of certainties that aren't actually true. It starts with a glitch. A small disagreement where you know you're right, but they insist you're mistaken. At this stage, you're still you. You argue back. You think, that's weird, they must be stressed. You're in the stage of disbelief. You see the manipulation, but you label it as a misunderstanding. The predator, however, is just testing the fences. They're looking for the cracks in your confidence. They aren't trying to win the argument, they're trying to tire you out. It's the death by a thousand cuts phase, where the goal is to make the truth feel like it's too much work to defend. Now, we enter the fog. This is the defense stage. You've stopped arguing to win, you're now arguing to prove you aren't crazy. You spend hours rehearsing conversations in your head. You find yourself searching for old texts or receipts just to verify your own sanity. The manipulator has successfully shifted the goalpost from the facts to your character. They tell you you're too sensitive or remembering things wrong. This is where the clinical isolation begins internally. You stop talking to friends about it because explaining the insanity feels too exhausting. You are becoming an island, and the water is rising. Stage 3 is the breaking point. This is the depression phase. You no longer fight. In fact, you start to agree with them just to keep the peace. You've internalized their voice. Their criticism is now your inner monologue. This is the ideal victim state, where the manipulator doesn't even have to be in the room to control you. You isolate yourself because you're ashamed. You feel like a shell of who you used to be. The psychological isolation is complete, you have no external reality left to check your notes against. You are living in their version of the world, and in that world, you are always wrong. To understand the lethality of this, we have to look at the case of Sally Challen. For 31 years, Sally lived in a state of coercive control under her husband, Richard. He didn't just hit her, he dismantled her. He controlled who she saw, what she ate, and mocked her intelligence until she believed she was nothing without him. In 2010, after decades of this slow-motion murder of her psyche, Sally killed Richard. Initially, she was convicted of murder. But in a landmark 2019 appeal, the court recognized that his psychological manipulation, his gaslighting, was the true catalyst. It was the first time the legal system admitted that mental control can be just as imprisoning as physical walls. Sally wasn't just a wife, she was a prisoner of a 30-year psychological experiment. Why do people stay? Why didn't Sally leave? The answer is intermittent reinforcement. It's the same mechanism that keeps people addicted to slot machines. If the manipulator was mean 100% of the time, you'd leave. But they aren't. Every 10 days of cruelty, they give you 1 hour of the old them. A flash of warmth. A compliment. A memory of the person you fell in love with. Your brain receives a massive hit of dopamine. You think, there they are. I just need to be better so they stay like this. You become addicted to the thought. The manipulator uses your own hope as a leash. Breaking free isn't about winning an argument, it's about leaving the courtroom entirely. You cannot out-logic a gaslighter because they aren't playing by the rules of logic, they're playing by the rules of power. Recovery starts with the anchor. Find one person, one journal, or one objective fact that you refuse to let go of. Build your reality back out from that single point. It requires no contact, not just physically, but mentally. You have to stop looking for their approval to be sane. You are sane because you say you are. The moment you stop trying to convince them of the truth is the moment their power evaporates. Manipulation thrives in the dark and the quiet. By talking about it, by naming the stages, we pull the invisible prison into the light. If any part of this story felt like a mirror to your own life, know that this wireframe of your identity can be rebuilt. You are not the crazier one, you were just in a room where the lights were being dimmed by someone else's hand. Walk toward the exit. The door was never actually locked. Thanks for watching. If this helped you find your footing, share it. You never know who is currently sitting in the dark.